All right, let's dive into Carl Rogers' person-centered approach. Now, if you're a coach or you work with one, this isn't just some other tool for your toolkit. Honestly, you should think of it as the foundational operating system for creating real, lasting change.
So, what's our game plan? First, we're going to tackle a really common myth about this whole approach. Then, we'll get right into the heart of Rogers' brilliant, radical idea and the 3 core conditions that make it all click. And finally, we'll look at what a coach's role really is and what it means to truly master the art of listening.
Okay, first up, let's solve a bit of a mystery. Why is it that Carl Rogers, one of the true giants of 20th century psychology, is so often underestimated, especially when you get into the world of executive coaching?
It's a little strange, right? In the tough, fast-paced business world, Dr. Rogers often gets lumped in with Mr. Rogers. His ideas are seen as, nice, maybe a little too touchy-feely, and just not really built for the hard realities of corporate life.
And usually, this whole dismissal comes down to a huge misunderstanding of so-called soft skills. Things like empathy, trust, deep listening. They're often treated like they're optional extras instead of what they really are, essential tools for peak performance. But that view completely misses the point.
But here's the secret that the smartest leaders have already figured out. The soft stuff is the most powerful stuff. It's the secret weapon. Just listen to this from a former Ford executive. If you take care of the soft stuff, the hard stuff takes care of itself. That's the engine that drives everything else. The strategy, the targets, all of it.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Rogers' core ideas are absolutely everywhere today, even if his name isn't always on them. Think about it. Daniel Goleman's work on emotional intelligence, Stephen Covey telling us to seek first to understand, Daniel Pink highlighting empathy. They are all building on the foundation that Rogers laid down decades ago.
So, where did all this come from? It all goes back to Rogers' central idea, which, for its time, was completely revolutionary. He basically turned the traditional role of the helper on its head.
You have to remember, back in the 1940s, the expert model was king. The therapist was the expert who diagnosed your problems and told you how to fix them. But Rogers came along and just flipped that script. He said, no, the client is the one with the potential. They have the capacity to figure it out. The coach's job isn't to be a director, but a facilitator, to create the perfect conditions for the client to find their own answers.
He explained this with a beautiful metaphor, the acorn. Rogers believed every single person is like an acorn. Inside that tiny seed is the full potential to become a magnificent oak tree. You don't have to teach an acorn how to be an oak. You just have to give it the right environment, the sun, the water, the soil, and it will grow all by itself.
So, what does this right climate actually look like? This is where Rogers' theory gets incredibly practical for any coach. He identified 3 essential attitudes, 3 core conditions that a coach needs to embody to create that perfect environment for growth.
And here's the beautiful thing about it. It's not some confusing 12-step framework. The entire foundation of this incredibly powerful approach rests on just 3 simple conditions.
The first one, and you could argue it's the most important, is congruence. Put simply, it just means being real. As a coach, you drop the professional mask. You're not playing a role. You're authentic, present, and what you feel on the inside is aligned with what you show on the outside. The second condition is unconditional positive regard. Now, that might sound a little academic, but it boils down to a profound, non-judgmental acceptance of the client exactly as they are. It's not about approving of everything they do, it's about holding a deep respect for their worth as a person. Period. No strings attached.
And just think about how different that is. So much of life runs on conditional regard. I'll value you when you hit your target, or I'll approve of you if you change. Unconditional regard says, nope, I value you right now as you are. That simple shift completely removes the need for defensiveness and opens up a space for real self-exploration. And the third condition is empathy. Now, this is crucial. This is not about feeling sorry for someone. It's a disciplined skill. It's the art of truly trying to step into the client's world, to see things from their point of view, and to understand not just what they're saying, but the feelings behind the words.
So when a coach can really live in these 3 conditions, their whole role transforms. You stop being a mechanic, trying to find the broken part to fix it. Instead, you become more of a gardener, someone who cultivates the absolute best conditions for natural, organic growth to just happen.
And this brings us to a huge point. The relationship is the intervention. It's not the warm-up act for the real work. For Rogers, big, meaningful change doesn't happen because of some clever technique or brilliant piece of advice. It happens inside of a genuine, trusting, and empathetic relationship.
This is exactly why the person-centered approach is such a perfect fit for coaching high achievers, like executives. The goal isn't to fix something that's broken, it's to empower them to unlock their own potential. The client is in the driver's seat, they set the agenda. And the coach's #1 job? Create that climate of trust where the client can tap into their own incredible resources for growth.
Okay, so how does all this theory actually play out in the real world? It all comes down to what is maybe the most powerful skill any coach can have: active listening. This is where it all gets real.
You see, a person-centered coach doesn't just go through the motions here. They embody these skills. It's about being fully present, constantly checking your understanding by paraphrasing, reflecting the feelings you hear, and pulling themes together, all while hitting the pause button on your own judgment. And here's the kicker. They don't just practice this, they teach it to their clients. Why? Because listening is the absolute bedrock of leadership.
And why is that so important? Because let's be honest, most of us have blind spots in how we communicate. We interrupt, we jump to conclusions, we miss what's really being said. A coach is often the only person in an executive's life who can hold up a mirror and give that kind of honest feedback on their listening. And that one service, well, that can be a total game changer.
So, let's bring it all home. The person-centered approach isn't just a nice-to-have. It's the foundation of all effective coaching. It builds the trust that makes everything else possible. Those 3 core conditions, being genuine, being accepting, and being empathetic, they create the climate for growth. And it totally changes the coach's role from being an expert to being an empowerer. The soft stuff really is the hard stuff.
We'll leave you with this final thought, which really gets to the core of Rogers' work. This isn't just a professional technique. It's a lifelong journey. It's a commitment to being more authentic, more present, and more real in every interaction we have. It's a challenge not just for our coaching, but for how we choose to live our lives.